Hello, everyone. This is Apostle Babe Linda James, and Matthew is here joining me tonight. So, everybody give Matthew a warm welcome. And again, I'm here to convince you that I am your favorite apostate because when you say something over and over and over and over and over again, that's a form of brainwashing. I might even convince you that I'm your favorite apostate. And it's kind of fun when you go from a place where apostate was basically a slur, and today it could be something not as a bad word. Matter of fact, the archaic term for apostate is runaway slave. So when you think about the time you were involved in the organization of Jehovah's Witnesses or any kind of a group that's high demand, high control, or if you've been in a relationship that was very controlling, if you had a controlling partner, or even a boss at a job you might have been working at, the oppression you feel when being underneath their power and authority um, can be just exhausting, just absolutely exhausting. And it gets to a point where you have been convinced, but you think it's your own choice that you've gotten rid of any friends you might have had before you started the job, got together with this partner, or joined a certain group. And the family members that don't support you, you've let them go too, right? And you find yourself only involved with these people or this person. And that's part of an isolation process that usually the person thinks that they're making this choice on their own. But in actuality, they've been influenced to make this decision. And it seems like a decision that would make their job go better. It would make their relationship with a partner or a family member go better, or even the community that you might be involved in within a possible religious um, church situation or even a political group situation. Um, the definition also of apostate is one that changes their religious or political viewpoint. So there's that. Um, so apostates don't have to be thought of as such an evil, awful thing as what I was trained to believe apostates were when I was growing up within the Jehovah's Witness religion. I was taught that apostates literally turned away from God, purposely turned away from God and gone and joined the organization of the devil. Like that's what they called it. Like this devil had an organization. So left God's organization to go be in the devil's organization. When in actuality, that is usually the farthest thing from the truth. Usually somebody that has stopped being involved in a job or a group that's very toxic, high controlled, high demand, they're usually looking at other situations to see what they can compare. Basically, they're kind of looking outside of that isolation place that they've talked themselves into going to and wanted to convince somebody that had more power and authority over them that that's a choice that they've made. But again, this is an isolation process. And what happens when you do isolate yourself from, say, the family and friends you used to be involved in, you're not hearing their voices anymore. You're not hearing, and you know, there are times when the family is actually our toxic, is our toxic cult. Okay. And getting away from the family might be the wise thing to do. Um, but ideally, the family would have their best interest out for you. And they would tell you things that don't seem right. Okay. And your friends would too, so as long as you're not hearing those voices anymore and only hearing the voice of the leader. It could be your boss, it could be the leadership of a political group or the leadership of a religious group or the boss at where you work. You're not hearing only their voice. Jim Jones, who was the founder of the People's Temple, who in 1978 instructed his followers to take themselves on a suicide mission. We later found out it was a suicide massacre because those that hesitated at the last minute to not drink what was flavor, it was called Flavor Aid. There's a term, don't drink Kool-Aid, right? Which came from that event. But in actuality, it was Flavor Aid that they drank. You know, some of them tried to escape. And Jim Jones had people with automatic guns that would shoot them. Or he had people that had the poison in things where you give a shot and they would stab them in the back with it so that it would get into their system. So even Jim Jones himself was shot, which I don't know if that was him trying to escape or that was his choice of unaliving himself. But what he did was he would have his voice playing through loudspeakers all the time of previous things he had taught on, previous teachings that he would say. So they got to a point where all they heard was his voice, day and night, day and night, day and night. And when you hear that so much, you don't even hear your own voice anymore. So that's what the purpose of the isolation is, so that you're not hearing any other possible information. It's a form of information control, and it keeps you away from others in your life that might actually be able to notice something and want to bring it up to you. I was reading something earlier today by Carrie Kay. When I post these flyers that I'm going to have a show, I also go into Substack, and she has a Substack there, and she wrote something out regarding women's rights to vote and stuff like this. And I'm going to see if I can find it. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to ask Matthew, how are you doing tonight? Well, it's tonight here. I don't know what it is over there. What is it over there?
Good to be with you. It is 9 minutes past 6 in the morning, South African Standard Time, Linda James.
Oh,
and it is
6 a.m.
merry Sunday. And of course, we're sending greetings from the Cape of Good Hope Peninsula to you there in California and to wherever anybody is in the world or on the planet. Yeah, those comments that you were making there about apostasy and, of course, the Jim Jones speaker phone. Yeah, I was just thinking about this word apostate. You know, I play with that. I go apostle babe as well. But I also embrace this word apostate as well, too. I don't ignore that. I go, no, hang on, there's something important here. Because I do distinguish between a label used as a weapon and a human being. You know, in JW, as a Jehovah's Witness, we weren't allowed to use the term human being. Not a lot of persons know that, but that was very taboo on writing desk research department and in the higher echelons of JW. But conscience, ethics, history, compassion, this is what I look at as the important distinction, because, you know, apostate has historically carried enormous emotional force and negative high control, religious systems. And so it's used less as a descriptive term and more as a social and psychological boundary marker. It's actually weaponized and a way of signaling danger, separation, or disloyalty. So I have an instinct that kicks in to move past labels and to look at who's the person? Who's the person here? What's the
Yes.
conduct? What's the humanity? What's the ethics? Apostle babe, yes, you've taken control. I go, yeah, I get that totally. And I come onto this channel. I'm drawn to you. Why? Because of ethics. I find you a very thoughtful, deeply fair-minded, and sharp-minded person. So what you've actually done with Apostle babe, where you say, yes, I will make you believe that I'm your favorite apostate. I was there long time ago. I was.
That's so
And
cool.
yeah, it didn't
That's
take
so
much
cool.
hypnotism to get, or
Right.
from you. It might
Right
have
on.
taken hypnotism from the other side, but it was more the behavior. And so I go, okay, Apostle babe, that's reclamation. You are reclaiming. It's very interesting. So communities throughout history, they've reclaimed words once used against them. And the way I feel, or my intuition, is that you take the term that was intended to diminish or isolate, and you've transformed it. You've transformed it into something associated with survival, humor, good humor, openness, healing, community support, and that's the polarity shift I talk about. When I say there's a polarity shift, that's what I mean, psychologically, socially. So I compare with the prophets, I compare with Christ, I compare with the apostles, and I say, yeah, they didn't fit in. They were called apostate, or those kind of slurs were sent their way. Christ was called what, a follower of Beelzebub, or he had Beelzebub, or was mad. His own brother said, yeah, he's lost his mind. So I think of many transformative figures, and I believe that transformation is happening in channels like this because I see pushback and I see changes going on, and I see positive changes, and I sense love and I sense a genuine joy that I don't think is contrived. I sense it, and yeah, if you want to say, look, the people making the changes are the rebels or the dissenters or the corruptors or the threats, but it's making for proper justice according to supreme natural law. I'm all for it.
Thank you. You know what? I appreciate that feedback. Um, Sitting in front of a computer and talking to it sometimes doesn't feel like anybody's there. It's helpful when you join me or someone joins me because you and I are interacting. But the audience, people in the chat, I get to see their comments and stuff. But it also feels like I'm just talking to a computer screen sometimes. So hearing the feedback is really helpful to hear that. And thank you for that, because my intention is to cause love and liberty, creativity, authenticity, and education. These 5 things. So um, I know that when I find myself distracted with other things that sound like a good thing to do, and I spend time doing them, I might bring that in and adopt it as something I want to do as well. But I can also, if I keep being able to go back to these core things that I am committed to cause, then I can tell when I get off track and have veered off into some other place that wasn't my intention. So it's helpful to have an idea of a target that you want to um, bring across or cause or give. I don't know why I'm running out of words. That's not like me, but so sometimes we just don't know what that is. And then we'll just kind of figure it out as we go along. Okay, I like this one. This one feels pretty natural to me. I just mentioned Carrie Kay because she has a Substack and she was talking about women's rights and how that all came about and stuff. And I can't share it, but please check out her Substack. It's for her. I believe I don't know, I better not say anymore because I don't want to send people to the places that she's not. go to her Facebook page and you would probably find things that would help you get to that article. But it talks
Mm.
about the things that the women had to do of that time, which I'm talking 1820s. And it was like a full 100 years of stuff. And unfortunately, there was still segregation amongst those that were trying to get the women that were trying to get the human right to vote. So it was, a group of all white women, and then there were black women doing this as well. There wasn't a coming together until later, and so yeah, the segregation was still happening as they were trying to
Mm.
get the rights to vote. But the things that the women had to go through when they were considered property of the men was horrendous. A husband could throw the woman out on the streets, and the husband would remain with the children and have the custody of the children, and she would have no rights to the children like today could be if there's a separation. You would go to court and, request a certain amount of custodianship and, whatever, however you and your previous partner would want to do that. So some of them were put in jail, some were put into insane asylums. Okay. Husbands used to be able to do that with their wives.
Mm.
If they thought they were just acting inappropriately, time to take them to the psych ward. And women had to go in there and just have to deal with stuff. So they were put in jail, they were thrown out on the streets because they were acting very untraditional. And a lot of it is because of the patriarchy. So in this article that Carrie Kay wrote, it talked about a certain person who also knew the person that made the flag, Susan B. Anthony, actually someone that knew Susan B. Anthony, who was actually the one that started this whole we need to have equal rights journey. And it was very controversial because it wasn't just we need to have equal rights on the job and such, but she read the Bible, and the first chapter of Genesis said, God created um, men and women in his image. So she saw things as if we're both created in the image of God, then we both should have a position that's of equal stance. So she was trying to share this, and of course, the men were not having it. And even the women were like, shh, shh, don't say that. It's, this is, yeah, shh. That was a bit too much for even the women to want to boldly say. So evidently, she was involved in something called a woman's Bible, where she actually switched up the Bible a bit. I don't know if this is a legitimate Bible. I have heard of women's Bibles, but usually what I've seen at Christian bookstores is like it's a New King James Bible or an NIV Bible, New International Version, and it's kind of pink. Or King James regular Bible, and it's just labeled Woman's Bible. That's what I'm used to seeing as a woman's Bible. So I don't know where it went after that point. But yeah. Oh, hello, Happy Thoughts, and J Mars and Dallas. Oh, I'm Born JW said something. Jim Jones had property in Redwood Valley, California. He shared a fence line with the Kingdom Hall here. The Kingdom Hall is now a CHP administrative blog building. Okay, so that's up north. Yes, he was there before he went to San Francisco. Yeah, that's fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. Grow, hello. She says, He trained them to drink Kool-Aid during trial runs. Yes, that's correct. 10 years worth of these trial runs. As a matter of fact, in the community post, I put a video there that is just under a minute of Jim Jones and a bit of what happened. Now, Born JW said, did you guys know that Farm 2 in New York was 607 acres? No. Farm 2, are you talking headquarters? Bethel Farm? 607 acres? That would be kind of funny. And actually unironic. It would seem very purposeful. Dallas got his little pink hands up. That's so cool. Yay! Born JW said, Pasta Babe is my favorite. See, I'm working on you. I'm convincing you. And it's interesting how Matthew talked about hypnotism. Let me read this from JMars. Chemical plant in Los Angeles, California could explode. I read people are told to evacuate. Wow, in the news. Yes, that is here in Orange County. And I'm just outside of that zone. So it happened last night. They evacuated, I don't even remember, thousands of people. And I didn't get an evacuation notice. And by the time my daughter's in town, by the time she told me about it, she let me know that the level of the alarm or evacuation notice had gone down. So that was good to hear yesterday. So you said one in Los Angeles. J. Mars, is that a different one than the one I heard about last night in Orange County? Or do you think it might be the same one? I need to pin this. Okay. The Women's Bible was written by Suffragette. Yeah. Did you read the article too, J. Mars? By Carrie Kay? That's the one I'm talking about, the Suffragettes. Okay. So, colors don't have gender boundaries. We gotta stop conformity to that rule. Colors. Interesting. Colors don't have gender boundaries. Did you know Charles Taze Russell, that pyramid that he had erected near his tombstone, was in pink, which today is considered the female, color. But there was a time when the blue was for the females and the pinks were for the males. Is that kind of what you're talking about, Dallas, or something else?
I wonder where that granite came from, because the big granite business that JW used was in Seychelles. And I believe, and I'm open to correction, that was pink granite. So, this is how guys were flying around in helicopters, landing on Bethel properties and things like this. So it was another one of those big business concerns that was integral to the JW system. So every time you mention this, the pink granite, I make a connection to the Seychelles. I know it was one of the places that I was supposed to visit, and I bucked against it. I was supposed to go to Ireland. I was supposed to go to Peru. I was supposed to go to Seychelles. I just kind of quit on that. But there's some kind of connection. Maybe I'm overstretching, but the pink granite was big business in JW, or still is.
Yeah, could be. That's fascinating. And we know how real devout Jehovah's Witnesses, Henrietta Riley is like an a kind of a known name that is considered someone who.
Yeah. Well, she put us onto the trust fund thing.
Thank you.
People might look at it and go, well, that's not really that remarkable. You go, well, it was substantial, but it showed you a little piece of what gets done.
Right.
That's
And
what
if
it does.
And if that was done by her, and what we're talking about is, actually, can you share a little bit about what that was?
What the
Henrietta Riley
Henrietta
Trust.
Trust Fund.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So gee, this is getting into mucky stuff, isn't it? Really, because we were talking about it earlier in the day about. Sorry, Linda James. I don't want to cut you.
It doesn't have to get like deep. Just that if somebody gives a trust fund to the organization, it's kind of like they put some money in a will for them, right?
Yeah. Were you there when I was talking about a girlfriend who called me up and said, "You heard that one, eh?" Now that was an attempt. When I say a girlfriend, that was an attempt at the branch arranging for me to marry somebody that they wanted to have control me. Except she later on got governed by ethics and said, "Man, I've got to tell you a few things. I've got to tell you a few things, and when I'm finished telling you and bringing you up to speed, it might change your outlook." This is, to me, I went, this is an incredible character. But they had a terrible accident, and she contacted me some years later and said, "By the way, Matt had this accident." I said, new JW elders contacted me, says, "I want to just tell you what I've done. All the stuff that I've worked for, my property, all of this, I signed it over to the organization. I was I had, it was real bad. But I mean, she was on like death's door. I remember going and visiting her in hospital, and as I walked into the room, she would flatline. Beep.
Oh my God!
When I walked out, when I came out of the room, then we'd get a pulse back, and then I would sort of, okay, let me say, how are you doing? Beep. And I thought, you know what? There's a weird thing going on. I don't quite understand. I don't know if it's my proximity. I'm not taking any risks with this. But she came out of it because they was going, we're going to bury her, the way I talk, I've got to be very, very guarded. It was extreme. But what had happened is somehow, a couple of HLC, I almost want to say operatives, I want to say this, got in there and managed to
hospital liaison committee, which would make sense. Somebody at this stage could be suggested to take blood.
And of course, I'm still in Gaga land at this point. But when I look back, I go, well, every time I worked with HLC, there would always be the incentivized brother, I'd say this elder, that would be in the room, and there'd be a shuffling of papers and things like this. But when I think about it, it was always the one guy who was connected to Bethel, who was in favor, out of that group of three men, where this would be happening, and you'd sort of be hearing the person saying, thanks for taking care of that for me, and I see this, but I also see these persons seeing opportunities for gaining properties at lower market value rates as well. And I remember one chap coming from outside the country, and he owned nothing, and he was in poverty. And after my father was, I'm going to say, pushed out of being coordinator of the body of elders, or my father just said, enough is enough, folks. This is, you know. I saw persons rallying for these positions of authority and using it, according to my opinion, in ways that they saw the financial advantages, because they went from no properties to suddenly major properties and these bed and breakfast places.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it was from dear, excuse us for the Susies that are in the chat, dear Auntie Susie's property that I know, somebody came in and said, oh, don't worry, Susie, we'll take care of this. It's not easy to sell these properties or something, but I'm sure we can arrange something somehow for you. And it was always at this like bottom dollar thing. And she's like, oh, I'm so grateful. Or you go, well, do you realize that you could have got better? And she says, it doesn't matter. I want the brothers to benefit. I really do. And I saw them building, property development things here on the peninsula. I mean, they were putting in these box flats, and I'm going, gee, they came from absolute zero financially, and they were all doing this. And of course, it was also the labor force knowing who's on LinkedIn and who's got what kind of talents, and it was the brothers basically going, right, well, there is this flat land. We're going to develop it and we're going to rent these things out. And that was basically the model. And it was, do I say, preying on individuals like your Auntie Susie, your elderly, but this is coming to your Henrietta Trust Fund. I do know this because I've also had family that have handed over properties. They've done it. It's happened. And there's been trust funds involved. And you're going, sure, the extraordinary wealth that has gone over. In my time, right? We were self-sufficient financially here on the peninsula. We were absolutely self-sufficient. I know that there was enough money available that if we used the same model structure, we would never have to ask the congregants for donations ever again. We got to that stage. We got to that stage recently. And you know what happened? You know what happened?
Money got assigned to be sent to headquarters?
Gone! It just went. And in those cases, there were letters specifically instructing the local congregations, make sure that the local congregants benefit first. They overrode it. They overrode it with needs graters, and they did it in a democratic vote. That money disappeared. Those properties disappeared. Now, I intervened on some of the properties because they were starting to sell them. They were starting to get into this mode of selling these things. There was a Kingdom Hall that looks just like a house here. I mean, it's a double story, right? There's another one that's like a McDonald's, already for, drive-through takeaways. Phenomenal. Then there's another one on a frontline prime property, and those things came in. They sent their young guys in with tight little suits, tight pants suits from the branch. I mean, it's just incredible.
Morris would disapprove, but go on.
Recording our brothers, and I went, they're falling in the jam, and they're starting to argue, and I'm going, guys, you're falling into all of the traps. You're not listening.
Yes.
And we lost those properties. But Matt Gray goes, no, we're going to start language groups because there's enough. And suddenly there was many language groups, and it overturned the decision. In fact, they actually sold the one property, but they were forced into overturning it. But when the whole thing happened, when that whole story occurred, the costs were coming to us when they started converging all of the congregations where we didn't owe anything. We had our own properties. We were self-sufficient. Suddenly they started importing congregants from high density areas, and we were having to pay for their transport. our costs shot up. The burdens were incredible.
Wow.
Going from able to contribute to we were in massive deficits the whole time. Anyway, you can go, well, Matt, what did you do? Did you come in and save the day? You stopped the property sales or whatever like this? Yeah, I did, but I was working according to my ethics at the time.
Of
I was
course,
going, no,
of
this
course.
needs to be reversed, and I don't like the fact that we had young guys coming in, basically disrespecting older elders who'd done all the work, and I pushed back legitimately, actually, when no, this is a needs greater area, though you deny that help. When it became convenient, it became needs greater. But then it was to send in their own guys from outside. They were always telling me this will never be a needs greater area. Never became a needs greater area when there was properties involved. Anyway, long story now is they've got their lads, their chaps. They've got happy business, and Matt's out of the way. So enjoy the economy, folks. Enjoy what you've got, because it don't look like religion. It looks like business. To me, in my opinion, that's what it looks like.
Can you do our thesis terminology?
Yeah, thanks. I sort of feel like I've been prattling on for a while, but that's a good disclaimer, because we do encourage essential critical thinking. Sometimes we just say critical thinking, but I've learned to say essential critical thinking, because that differentiates between the negative slant that places like JW or a negative high control group of persons may try to put on essential critical thinking. They mix it up, because essential critical thinking is very, very important. And I say that we're a community that's working on a thesis, we're working through things. In other words, that's what we're talking about. That's the subject that we're talking about. And we say we encourage an antithesis. In other words, give us the opposite. What's the other viewpoint? It might be different points in between the polar opposite. But we say at the end of the day, we should be able to take all of that information, maybe put it into an AI liquidizer, blend it up, and come up with a synthesis. In other words, all of these different points of view to get to a better place. But we don't throw ethics out of the window. But as we're doing that, we say have a healthy skepticism as well. We also healing, we're also growing. So you want to say spiritual abuse survivor community. I think we do make up a lot of that, although we do have diversity in our chats. We have persons that were maybe never involved in a negative high control religion, but your experience, my experience, it largely does gravitate towards that. So we try to say, look, bring in the essential critical thinking. It is survivor space, and it's friends coming together. We don't claim authorities over anything, or medical, or even government, or anything like that. We're just trying to work through what is the highest supreme ethic, and can we apply it, because we're concerned with people. We're people. We would like healing. And if we didn't get that, well, you know what? We'd like to extend it to other people. How does that sound, Linda James?
Actually, that sounds right on par with the way I think. I have things I like to share that I learn about, but then, those that show up here, I learn from them as well. Just some things from their comments, even. So, and the people that will show up in the chat are always so supportive to one another. I never see any kind of bickering or underhanded comments. Usually there might be some joking, but I mean a really positive group of people that show up here on Saturday nights. And I'm very thankful for that. My great grandmother, so that would be my grandfather's mother. Her parents.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother was like the first lawyer in Texas.
Hello.
I'm thinking Houston. And her father was like a judge of some sort. So they were pretty elite, quite wealthy.
Okay.
And I believe it was some oil or something involved too. So my grandfather's mother, I'm going to call her Big Mama, because that's what we used to call her, Big Mama.
Okay.
When she was a little kid, she wanted a sibling. And so her mom just took her to the orphanage and they got her a child.
Here you go. Pick one up.
Okay, take one up, right? She had a white horse. She was very sheltered. Um, they were very wealthy.
Okay.
So after her parents crossed over, and then she inherited things, and then okay, so the one that got adopted, we're talking had a draw, was Big Mama married somebody that was very abusive to her. So the adopted little brother, they had a real, like a real, 1, 2, 3, shoot each other kind of thing.
Okay.
Okay, because
True love.
yeah, it was her little brother saw that this man was not good to her.
Okay.
Okay, they had one of those Texas draws, and little brother killed husband of Big Mama.
Man.
Somebody else showed up and did what is called undue influence.
All right.
This is something I mentioned earlier, where they take advantage of someone in need and says, "Listen, I can help you out with your finances and everything," and even talk like they're going to put it in all these different things and it's going to, be wise choices and stuff. And he ended up stealing it all. So
Right.
she lost it all by way of this man conning her, and that was through what's called undue influence. So my grandfather had older brothers, did go out during the day. Now, let me just say my grandfather was born in 1903.
All right.
So he, at the age of 5, okay, they're broke, but she lost all the money by way of undue influence. This guy showed up and conned her and stole her money. So he was a paper boy, which at that time, getting the best corner was a big deal in being a paper boy. And the way to do it was whoever was there, the little kid had to kick the other little kids behind to get that spot. And that's what my grandpa did at 5 years old, and took a good spot to sell newspapers and whatever else. So he was working from the time he was 5. And the older brothers were doing what they could to make money or whatever during the day, and they'd come back home. And this was at a time when, the men made the money and the women needed to be helped that way. Like, women going out and getting jobs was almost unheard of. So the person that was the male in the family, would be the one to be the breadwinner or to bring in the income. Women would be at home,
Right.
and they would do that. And so, they did come home with money and just barely got by, and sometimes didn't have money, and that's what that was. So that is a case of undue influence, where somebody took advantage of a situation in my family where, and I know because she was raised so sheltered, she didn't have an eye, she didn't have wisdom to know that the con man was a con man. She believed him, she trusted him, and he took advantage of her and her situation. So when I share the techniques and tactics of cult leaders, it's because if we don't know, we're going to fall for it and think it's actually authentic stuff when we get love bombed by someone or a group of people. So it's helpful to understand the techniques and tactics. So you were talking about hypnotism, right?
Right.
I've noticed, like, even when Randall Waters, we were speaking of him last weekend. Um, I can remember listening to the tapes of him talking about his testimony, and it was very
Mm.
da 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 da
Oh.
da da da. Today's sounding of Jehovah's Witnesses is very different. When we listen to the broadcast, it's almost slower than slow motion. And
Oh,
when you
right.
get into a groove and you're talking to an audience, it's very easy to just create a atmosphere of those that are listening to you to be very relaxed. And what happens to the people listening to you is, okay, they don't call the boob tube for nothing. They call it the
Mm.
boob tube because it lulls you from
Sure.
relating it to when a mother would nurse her child from her breast and it would lull the baby to go to sleep, right? That's where this comes from.
Well, yeah, the
So,
breasts are called lullies in the UK. Sure.
okay. So when we,
Lullaby.
thank you. Yes. So when we hear this kind of rhythmic calmness voice, what happens is we go into, or it's easy to go into kind of a daydream state of mind. Not like I have total control. No, it's just more like you're just super
Hypnagogic.
relaxed. Yeah, super relaxed, kind of daydreamish. You're listening to what's coming in. What happens when you're in that relaxed state of mind is things will go into your conscious. Okay, your conscious, and you don't have that mindset of, wait a minute, that doesn't work with that, or how does that, you don't question much because you're in a very relaxed, just receiving it all mode.
Mm.
So I've noticed that this is something that I've noticed it's something that the Watchtower uses, but I've also heard it elsewhere.
I came out of a couple of heavy systems like that. Now, Zimbabwe was very controlled because there's a real psychological phenomenon behind repetitive slogans, jingles, chants, symbols, and emotionally charged messaging in political, religious, and commercial systems. So repetition, yeah, is one of the oldest persuasion tools that humans use. So it creates familiarity, emotional association, besides this hypnagogic kind of mental state. But you get group identity thrown in and sometimes automatic responses over time. So historical movements across many ideologies, they used this for political regimes, religious organizations, militaries, advertising industries, revolutionary movements, and even modern media algorithms. So, my experience in Zimbabwe under Robert Mugabe, I'm talking about a brilliant mind, really brilliant. I mean, very well educated leader. I remember on the radio, they would have this repeating jingle throughout the day. Kushingarira, Kushingarira, Kushungarira. And it was this thing that you're talking about that was on repeat mode.
Yes.
And it meant Kushingarira. I've got to translate it because although it's one phrase, it means the mother who has the child forgets the birth pain when the child is born and is sucking the mother's breast. That's what it means. All the things you've just, yeah, you're smiling because you.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
so this under Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe, persons who remember this, and you say, well, do you remember the Kushingarira slogan? It fits into that broader pattern where you've got repeated broadcast messaging. In JW, it's the day text every day. It reinforces the authority, normalizes the narrative, and emotionally anchors loyalty or fear. And that's the mechanism because you've got your constant repetition. Yes, on Apostle Babe, there is the tongue-in-cheek thing that you do. Why? Because you know this only too well. You're going, folks, I'm going to blow the lid on this thing through my apostate. You're going to love me at the end of the day, but you know what? You're turning it on its head, because what are you exposing? This music, patriotism, the danger, the salvation, the identity, the survival. It becomes psychologically powerful. So figures like Jim Jones, where you're going, well, he was on the speakerphone. Hey, I'm going to give you this ideology over the speakerphone of his voice droning through. It's often studied because it demonstrated how charisma, this charismatic authority. Did the people not like him? No, they did. They liked him. Isolation.
They called him Daddy. Oh my God. They called him Daddy. Did y'all hear this? United States citizens, we have a president we call Daddy. Ooh, that was a moment I just had. I'm sorry. I just went, holy crap. Okay. Yeah, they used to call Jim Jones Daddy.
Well, you stopped me dead in my tracks because
I just stopped myself. Oh my God, that's so.
Yeah. So what's it?
Let me go a little further. It's no mistake that within churches we call each other brother and sister, right? We have a daddy cult leader, and it makes us mentally in the mindset of a child.
Well, uncle, auntie is the same thing.
Yes.
This ain't my uncle, it ain't my auntie, but they insisted upon it.
Yes. And culturally, like, remember I told you I used to go to an African church, and after a while, they would call me auntie. Where my daughter lives in Maui, if they want to say a kind word and they want to give you island respect, they'll call you auntie, out of respect and affection.
I'm called Bubba Gray to this day.
Really? Bubba Gray?
Yes, Bubba Gray. So I've got persons that you go are the monitors of Bethel, who I didn't arrange this, Linda James. Let's be very, very clear. I didn't make this arrangement. It just happened this way, I suppose, organically, or with the what do we call it? The fracture that's going on with persons that are going, Matt, we can't ignore exactly what's going on right under our noses. It's so much in our face, punching us in our face every day. Bubba Gray. Let's tell you this, let's tell you that, and what's going on. But they insist you're Bubba Gray. But it goes a step further, because some of the old school guys at the branch who still go, Matt, we still count you as one of the anointed. It's not Bubba, it's Master.
That's a trip.
And I'm talking.
I've never heard that before, but every time you've mentioned it, I know it's true.
This is from white Boer Dutch Afrikaner elderly men calling me Master.
Say that again, right?
Yeah. You got me the first time. This ain't coming from Africa. Africa, it's more Bubba Gray. From the Boer Voortrekker Afrikaner. Matt, you are the master here.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So.
And why do you believe that was a term they used with you?
Because I went through the whole JW's profiling, which is called the Advanced PQR, Personal Qualifications Report. So when they were getting all, like Winder and Flegel, I've got videos and photographs of them when they were young, skinny, scrawny guys, and all kinds of stories, by the way. They got all excited about me because they were going, geez, you're a long-term anointed guy on the system. I mean, we've been using you for purchasing to get to the top of the list for when we want irrigation in our football pitch, or we need that new 4x4, we would get you to purchase because you had priority on the system, Admin 2000 or Hub system, due to your long full-time service, coupled with your anointing. It puts you right up.
I'm sorry to interrupt. And that anointing, like it's a test to confirm you're of the anointed.
If you've gone through the PQR, because you've got different tiers. You've got your rank and file anointed that, let's say, that's happened in the past 3 years, or it's happened fairly recently. So that they would kind of go, yeah, you're a partaker. You're not really of the anointed class, or you're mentally deranged, or it's hectic culture, this. But the PQR would basically put you in a form of mental auditing. That's what it is. I look at this and I go, geez, I've seen this before. It looks like Thomas International Psychological Profiling down to your intimate thoughts, which I always put on the table. So I would be assessed at least every 6 months, at least. It was actually more than that. But they would do a PQR, deep PQR, because there's different levels of PQR. But they would do a deep PQR at least every 6 months. I hated it. It was so intrusive. It really was intrusive. I was like, and you get, and the other thing too is they would have you, because they would try and get you on a baseline, promote you to anger, for instance, and see how you would react. So it was very much this kind of stuff. So even if you see through it, you'd get some guy just being, I don't want to say this on your channel, but a complete asshole. That's the test, and you just go,
trying to antagonate you.
Yeah, we found this, and you go, what? You actually went through my room and started rooting through my things. Well, doesn't that piss you off? Yeah, sure it does. You know, it would be this kind of thing. They even did that when I was truck driving. Like some of the assessments while I'm driving, they're trying to piss me off, and they go, oh, you've passed the test, but it shows that you can keep your nerve while we distract you while you're driving. And you go, I want to, excuse me, coming to this side, I want to punch your friggin' lights out right now. Do you realize how you put everybody in danger here through your stupid test that you've taken far too far, because it's fueling your ego? There's a thing about testing, and there's a thing about testing. You've actually gone too far. So it's this culture the whole time, very, very toxic. But it's that PQR that was done that many persons have no idea about exists. They have no idea. I talk to JW, say, oh, when was your PQR doing that? What are you talking about? So if you're a circuit overseer, your first page on your circuit overseer guidelines file, where you've got the circuit overseer guidelines coupled with the private file, the first page is your PQR to tell you what a terrible guy you are.
Wow,
you have to be reminded what a schmuck you are, that you went through this PQR, and they suddenly revealed the PQR with all of your personal nonsense, and failings. You have to look at that every time you open the file to humble you. To remind you how much you were forgiven and what a lousy piece of crap you are, and that how God has had, and how God has been merciful to you because you are the slave that was forgiven so much, and you've got much responsibility, isn't it, you piece of crap?
Yes.
Sorry
Which is exactly what an abusive partner, how an abusive partner talks to the abused partner. Always making sure that they do not forget their place. And if they think they're going to get a little bit of sunshine, or if they're going to shine at all with any of their talents, they're going to squash that right away.
It's not like that for everybody. Not all circuit overseers are treated equally.
Do tell.
Yeah, well, you've got some who.
Who is that saved for?
Oh, yeah, that's saved for your grunt circuit overseers. But I mean, if you're a circuit overseer where you've got a Riley Trust Fund thing, where you are offering properties or you're doing flipping with properties, very much like, the kind of vibe many persons get with Jedele, who's now on the GB. That's the kind that wouldn't experience that. Why? Because you've got your incentivized individual in on the system where it becomes a whole different other organization. Linda James, I had a taste of it. I know what that's like. Going from branch dedication to branch dedication, being brought in on the coach, or having the special servant or Bethelite pick you up in the Bethel vehicle, which is reserved for governing body, and it's all nicely air conditioned, and he or she is driving you around and putting you on a tour. It is top tier stuff. I mean, it is absolute luxury. You arrive at a Bethel and you're handed a coconut that's just taken off the palm tree, and you can drink that, and you've got all this fabulous food. It's incredible. Wow. And you're just going from one dedication to another. They say, oh no, your name on the list, you're only allowed so many dedications per certain period or whatever. But if you're in those top tiers, those things drop away. You're just going from one to another to another to another. And the organization looks amazing from that perspective. You just go, so. Sure, this is taking over the planet when you're in that bubble.
Yes.
Many Jehovah's Witnesses have no idea about that. They've got none. But to get in on that, you need to have your fingers in property flipping and stocks and bonds. You need to be involved in that, because that's how you're going to fly to your next destination. This is where it is, and you soon sniff it out. You soon see who's in on those kind of tiers. And we're talking about JWs who are assisting presidents of countries. I mean,
yes, yes. I understand. I mean, I believe exactly that.
And they justify it that they're the Josephs, the modern Josephs. They justify it. And the amount of power that these people have, don't underestimate it. I mean, it's sure. Again, it's one of these things that people have no idea it exists. They go, this tier, we didn't know about this. We thought the JWs, the poor and the impoverished circle over here who can barely make ends meet. Yeah, that's there. But you've got your others. Because remember now the system is on Hub that you've got your monthly deductions that come off on your donation. So now it's able to see exactly who donates. It used to be that you couldn't see that. Now we can see exactly where your donations are coming in from. And of course, that affects where you are on the tier, because when you say, oh, we would like to have air conditioners for our Kingdom Hall, boop, if you're on that tier, it goes in straight away. If based upon what your revenue, that is calculated. So there will be for every congregation, there will be a certain allowance of things, but according to what comes in on the cash flow, it suddenly puts you for all kinds of perks. So there are those kind of congregations, but witnesses are sneaky. They try to find where those congregations are. And so they might move into those areas and places like that. So there's different ways that they would regulate. Like how would you avoid persons joining a congregation where there's the governing body, for instance, or the in crowd, or something where you're going, oh, well, this is going to benefit me financially, So
it is like who you know.
Yeah.
In with the in crowd, in with those that know. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
It's a lot of dirt, eh?
It's a lot. You've had a taste of this, but it's you've also recognized some other stuff, some other sides to it, And when I've thought about this in the past, I've thought, the higher up on the echelon someone becomes, I think that the more obedient they are and the things that they do, they later find out that it could have been a criminal activity, and then the higher ups over them have something over them. That if they become not wanting to be as obedient, fall out of line, then the higher ups can tell them, "We have something on you, so you better be quiet," and otherwise they can turn them in. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
they would have stuff on people that are going up on the echelons. That would be
Well, you can see that in some of these very high control religions where there's things like I'm going to say in JW you have psychological auditing. It is there. I mean, like this person who contacted me recently, he was part of that. I know I was absolutely handled by him in auditing.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I was thinking this earlier. I don't know if I made the comment or not when you were on earlier today doing your open circle. Which everybody, I want you to check out his channel, check out the open circle. I noticed that you were talking about somebody that recently got in touch with you. And something told me, or in my intuition, I get the impression he self-appointed himself to contact you, that it wasn't an assignment given to him to contact you. What are your thoughts?
That would be really weird because this person can barely go to the bathroom without asking permission from.
Okay.
It's a weird thing because you know how we talk about narcissistic, egotistical. You've got a mix of that and you've got a mix of dependency. I don't know if it's done for show, but it's weird because I also know how. I mean, we're talking about persons who influence this organization very, very powerfully.
It goes from don't you know who I am to, oh my goodness, I must be humble. This cognitive dissonance must be agonizing.
It's well, this is why they're having to go to psychologists, psychiatrists, be medicated. And here's the weird thing here. This is why I kind of allowed it to happen. Not to do a big exposure on this, actually. But I actually thought, okay, I'll tell you where it came from, Joe and Fran and Joe. And they were talking about Nicodemus. And because I was like, I've had enough of this. I really have had enough of this. No, really, I'm done. I am so done with this thing. And it was, I don't want to have to go into the police station again. I just don't want to do it. Okay. And Joe says, listen, by the way, don't be quick to cut people off. You might have a Nicodemus. So I'm sitting there and I'm going, oh my goodness. Gosh, I've just been to a Sunday meeting with Joe and Fran. Excuse me, Joe. Excuse me, Fran. Remember, I respect you guys a lot. But
that's Joe talking from his wisdom. Sometimes he's saying stuff and it's not really landing for me. And sometimes it's stuff that's huge.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, okay, Joe, you got a good point. Maybe this person's seen the fracture. I mean, he's at the front line. I mean, those guys talk like apostate. I mean, bad apostates. You want to know about Ray Frank? You'll get it all from there. You don't need a pickup crisis of conscience. You'll get it from there. So I'm looking at this and I'm going, yeah, he trained me. Okay, I should give him a chance. Okay. And I did. I went. I thought he's coming in because of this, but I also laid it down. I said, listen, let me get it really clear. I have been to the police about this, and you can see the response. It wasn't taken with any kind of major humility. There was no, oh, by the way, Matt, you were trying to protect persons within the religion. It was, no, I'm going to launch in on what my experience was, and in another way, I'm going to be promoting this, but you'll notice how careful I am now. Okay, I'm in high alert mode. So there was none of this, oh yeah, Matt, by the way, thanks very much for pointing these things out. We're working on it. And, we did get feedback from the governing body. Remember, you sent in registered post and I received it, and we got onto this, and yes, there was reports of persons harmed, and even some prison cases, and we had to distance ourselves from this. And you're quite right. Great. Branch committee was very, very concerned, and yes, we got feedback not a week, 2 weeks later, a year later. We got feedback 24 hours. Because that's how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be lightning quick. They strung me on for a year, 2 years, 3 years, strung me on. And this was the guy who was saying, oh, put it in the mail to the branch, would you? Knowing full well that it would never be picked up. And I'm going, no, okay. You fool me once. You fool me 77 times beyond to the power of 77. And you go, well, Matt, if you're going along with this, you're actually facilitating. This is this kind of character. But there's Joe saying, Nicodemus, and I'm going, okay, look, it's my choice to take this on board. I take this on board. Let's give him a chance. But it was very, very disappointing. The way I got it, because I refused to be isolated with this person, is I pulled in witnesses. The witnesses contacted me. When I say witnesses, I'm not saying Jehovah's Witnesses, though you can say Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm saying persons who are witnesses to going, Matt, you're no longer isolating yourself. Let's see what's happening here. And I'm going, yeah, because I've had meetings with them so many times, and every time I'm getting railroaded, disrespected, invalidated. I'm not doing it anymore. Okay.
I've told my friends, do not leave me alone with my mother. Same kind of thing.
Linda James. Okay.
I know exactly
so I said,
what
no.
you're talking about.
And I got contacted. I don't know, about a week ago, and the person says to me, Matt, is this guy sane? And I said, well, I don't want to come to judgment. I've got to be very careful with how I say things. I said, I've got my own opinions about these persons, and I know their habits, and I know their medical history and all of these stories firsthand, because I would be driving them to the psychologist. I mean, that would be my assignment. They'd be going, well, you're one of us, Matt, so you take us there. We can't actually drive a vehicle. Take us there, or fetch our medication from outside. We're not going through the Bethel system. We're going to go outside. Okay. So I know this, but anyway, the witness says to me, man, this guy's like Looney Tunes. It's loony. Is he coherent? I said, yeah. This is where we're getting a lot of, or the religion is getting its literature from. This is one of the persons who's churning it out. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
And going, crumbs, Matt. I'm going, yeah, well, so the positive from this is it's exposed this whole system. You're going, this is the heart of the system, folks. And so for me, you remember I was saying to you, there was a load that was lifted to a large extent, not totally, but I had this experience. I'm going, well, this is interesting, because I've spoken about this. It's actually feeling that there was a load, but it was because of the exposure. It was going, how do they ever repair this to go, oh, this is the narrative of Jehovah God and Jesus Christ controlling things after this kind of exposure? How do they ever fix this? I'm going, is there even a way forward? So in my life, I would go, well, persons, if you want to go on a voyage of discovery, this is how you would do it, is by making sure that you're not isolated. for myself, you say to me, Matt, is there any kind of twinge left as to how you see this thing being controlled? Are you left in any kind of doubts? I go, nah, not left in any kind of doubts as to how this thing works. Yep. Usually there's some kind of escape route. There's no escape routes. None.
Wow. It's so fascinating. In different court cases I have seen, or just inquiries, if the organization is spoken of as a captive organization, Watchtower gets on that like nobody's business and says, do not call us that, or closed system. They cannot stand being labeled like that.
Yeah, because that's exactly what it is. You know, if you want to call out a narcissist, or if you want to see where you're controlled, go and make a truth statement, see what happens, and see where it comes from. It doesn't come from dear, I'm going to say Sophie again, or Sophie or Susie, with all respects to the good Sophie Susies out there. It doesn't come from there. It comes from those that are in the controller positions in the organization. Remember, they're standing on the backs of Susie and Sophie, or your Uncle Joe, dear Uncle Joe. They're standing on the backs of the innocents like that. That's how it works. That's how the system operates. So they're shielded by those persons.
The leadership, you know, from the top, wherever the powers may be from, because I don't believe it's the governing body as being the top, but it's a narcissistic training. On the way down, the men are being taught in narcissism all the way down to elders and ministerial servants.
And women. There's women there that are in controller seats you have no idea about. And when you get to meet them, you want to say BITH to the power of infinity.
Yes,
I mean, you ain't met anything. I would say go to Barbara Anderson and see what you could pull from her. She'll put you in the picture very quickly as to what those.
I've heard of that. And you would think it doesn't happen, but yes, I have. What you're saying, I've heard this before too.
And it's phenomenal because JW will produce a drama with Jezebel, and you're going, well, hang on a second, Jezebel's sitting in that office over there, in a guardian role. You think there ain't power? There's power like you cannot believe.
Now, would you say that people that are placed in certain positions, it mainly is based out of their loyalty, or do you think they might be? Because the way I see things, this is just my view from being a rank and file level. When I look at what is asked of a male who the elders have decided they would like to make an elder, they ask him like a couple of questions, and then he's qualified. And then he's taken to a weekend elder school where he's taught to use the book.
Okay.
This qualifies someone to become an elder, which in my mind, it seems that like they're training them to be loyal and not equipping them with a pastoral role.
It's the same like any other human system, Linda James. So I know that the organization does, contrary to its front face persona, and I don't mean to contradict anybody's experience, but it knows who the valuable women are, right? And so you may get a woman with an exceptional mind, exceptional, right? And the husband is, excuse me, grits for brains, okay? Right? Grits for brains. And grits for brains gets onto service desk. And you're going, what the heck is going on here? And they're going, no, Matt, don't you understand why we did that? Because if we don't, we lose her.
Yes.
We lose her. She's the vital ingredient here. Organizations identified her, and it's put her to use here. Where is she? She's got her own office. She's got her own office down there. You have no idea about it. She's in a controller system of note, okay? Because she's exceptionally talented. I see Kerry K researchers saying hi and giving shout outs to Dallas, John, Linda James, Matthew, everybody. Kerry K, good to be with you.
I was mentioning your Substack earlier, Kerry K, and your latest article about suffragettes. Yeah, that's who I was talking about. Kerry K researcher.
There was so much I wanted to share, but I've sort of lost where my mind is. But it was about these incentives and what actually goes on. But you were saying, okay, well, generally very unpleasant people that get into these power positions, it ain't because of good that they got there. It ain't. Because I'm talking about a real horrible piece of work, okay? That is narcissist, enjoys making life miserable. I came across these people, and persons go, Matt, what kind of character were you as an elder? I was going, well, more or less what you see now. I'm not that much different, okay? Circumstantially, yeah, sure. Is there an enlightenment? Sure, there's an enlightenment. But I remember going down a Bethel corridor, and there was, you know how certain people rile you up and you go, Matt, you just got to let me handle this. Okay, Matt, I'm going to go out and, you know, and I go, yeah, Linda James, I like being on your side.
I'll be right back.
Yes.
I've got something I need to take care of.
I was in the passage, and I saw one of these women, sisters, whatever you want to call it, laying into some of the sweetest people in the corridor. And the sweetest people were apologizing.
That's right.
I saw one of these dear sisters getting slammed into the wall by this piece of work. Yeah. And she came and brushed past me, and I didn't stand for it, okay? But I allowed her to sort of bulldoze me until she hurt one of these dear sisters, because I can't fight for me, but I can fight for others.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
And I said, isn't it such a shame? Excuse me, is there something that you need help with? And her anger, just at this in the corridor, I said, I think you and me need to discuss this privately, because there's obviously something that is triggering you here, and if you need apologies from me, you have them, and if you need some behavioral change from me, you've got it. But is there a way that I can help you deal with this? Because what's happened here, this sister deserves an apology, don't you think? This sister here has been hurt, don't you think? And the way I'm talking, it drew attention. And she lost her power and she lost her energy. And persons saying, yeah, Jez, you need to apologize. And when she saw that I had gathered the support of the people around legitimately and she was exposed, she flipped out in the corridor.
That's right.
I mean, she was gone. You're sort of thinking, oh, she's going to sort of try and reverse this. No, she flips out. And I go, sister, you really need to take a time out. I said, you're crossing a line here, and I'm going to say to you, can you take this somewhere else, not here? This is not the time of the place. I just got into daddy mode, and
I was just thinking, you are being reprimanded, lady.
Yeah, no, yeah. That was it, and it takes quite a bit for me to do that. I don't know if you know that about me, but I've got a pretty high tolerance threshold. And when somebody just out of control, that was it. So I just go, no, this wasn't any good. Anyway, so later on in the day, I contact her overseer, or even even though this is a person of influence, they still had overseers. I said, "What's the story?" He said, "Matt, oh, I mean, this is like holy shit, Matt."
So she's
I'm
already
getting this.
gotten to him. She's already
Yeah,
gotten to him.
she's going, Matt,
Of course,
you, oh,
she does.
Jesus Christ, help us, you know. I really wish this hadn't happened, but yeah, we been trying to contain this thing. So I said, okay, we got a real massive problem, Matt. You have no idea the problem and how interwoven this is. So I said, okay, so are we going to just leave it? What do you want done? I said, because are you going to support me on this thing? Because I'm trying to approach to make the peace. I said, there ain't anything that's going to do this, and this is dangerous. Yeah, okay, it's actually affecting people. I said, don't take my word for it. I said, I can tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sisters. Here's their names right now. Let's get them on the phone and see what they think about this situation. They said, sure, this is out of hand. Because now, at that time I was saying don't be isolated and have witnesses. I only act when I make sure that all the bases are covered. And I said, oh, you've got these people. And they interviewed them. And they said, yes, that's absolutely correct. This was absolutely disgraceful, what's going on here. And so the overseer of the department, actually, I can tell you who the overseer is. It's the Lepta director.
The what director?
Lepta and Minor director. You know this. You know this thing in Ireland, the asset management.
Okay. Yes.
You heard of that? Yeah. It's one of those guys. Okay.
Okay.
So he says to me, Matt, he says, you need a, can you handle it? Be pretty confident you can handle this. So I said, yeah, but I said, we need her husband. He says, sheesh, Matt, no, that's one of our assets. It's just, we're going to lose our asset. I said, well, that's why she's like she is. She knows that you guys can't afford to lose this guy because trust funds. I mean, there's a net worth here, okay, calculated on the system.
Yes.
I said, oh, geez, Matt, please see if you can try and contain. So I said, well, he needs to be involved in phoning him up. Phone him up. He says, Matt, my wife it's a misery. My life is just hell.
That's what happened.
I can't stand it. I can't stand it. It's been like this for 20 years, 30 years. So I can't stand it. He says, I want you to correct this. I want you to go in there. He says, I'm going to support this 100%. Go in there. And
this is the husband?
Yeah. He says,
okay.
It's my life is a living hell every day. Please, yeah. I'm so glad that you've got the courage to stand up to this. So I said, okay, well, it's going to happen right now. You're going to stay. And of course, when she sees this domino effect, overseers, people involved, and she's got no support, it just got even worse. But remember, you said, how does she get there? It's not by any good works. It's because she's either got information she's accumulated or is worth something in assets herself, is part of a trust fund herself. Okay. So that's how. And so when she married, she got the guy she wanted, but he's under control. Right? She's controlling it. She's a hub of control. We're talking about real power here. So you're going, oh, it's men that run this thing. Not always, Linda James.
I stand corrected, and I agree with you. You're right. There are women out there that can be very much this way.
I can't imagine somebody like Barbara Anderson not knowing this, with the way that she'd been deep in the organization with Joe. I can't believe that she would not know about these kinds of people.
I'm sure she very much picked up on.
But she keeps it classy, and she's also very careful.
Yes, she's one of those that she won't shut up when she starts going, but she also doesn't bring in. She doesn't make it trashy. She doesn't gossip in a degrading manner. She might say a few slight comments of, "That's another story," and she's not going to go any further, or that's all I'm going to say on that. And she's not going to, and she is in a position where she could do great gossip, and but that doesn't seem to be her style that I've come to know at all.
When you're someone like me and you blow the lid on that, it has this domino effect, and then suddenly people who are trapped start coming forward, and people in positions of tremendous oversight, and they're going, "Geez, Matt, we believe that you came across this. Do you know that my wife has been under her thumb for years? Do you want to know something? We've been putting up with this for you." And it starts coming out, and you're going, "Geez, this is the guy who's just done morning worship on JW broadcast and is going, oh, isn't this wonderful, this organization, blah, 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 blah. Wonderful, wonderful." And you're going, your life's a friggin' misery. And you're going, "Oh, we've all got our happy face on today." And you're going,
right.
This paint is nothing like it.
As hard as it is for a woman who's being abused mentally, physically, however, it is hard. But I believe it's even harder for men who have their spouses.
They're emasculated.
Yes.
And when you see the JW, them at the regional convention level or on JW.org, you're seeing one thing. When you've gone to the flat and you've heard her screaming off at him, and I mean emasculating the man.
Yes. I used to watch my mother beat on my father. I used to watch my mother yell at my father.
Yeah, jeez.
And when you're dealing with somebody who makes you regret ever pushing back at all, the wrath you receive. I used to apologize myself for things I never did as well. But because she accused me of them, I tried as much as I could to say, "No, that's not me." Finally, I would just say, "I'm sorry," so that she would stop. Because 2 or 3 hours later of her yelling and screaming at me, I thought it was a good idea to just say, "I'm sorry. I'll try to do better next time." That's what I did so that she would stop. She felt like she had the higher, hand or whatever. Today I do things differently.
Okay.
I used to do that,
You've reminded me.
I used to stand there and take it because it's my mother.
Okay, here it comes. Are you ready for this? Because you've reminded me of something now. When I don't let go when I find something like this. That's a controller that where there's a shift, or you can see the power is just around a person like this, and it's exposed. And I just smell blood in the water. Right now, I'm going right. I'm after this.
Wow.
So now this is what my investigations turned up. Are you ready for this? So you go, "Matt, this is only your opinion. This is only what you're saying." But I'm going to put this on the record because I like it being in this internet system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I found that there was these kind of powers, it was because the dirt was so bad. I mean, real bad.
Yeah.
Almost like almost like they had trapped their spouse or whoever was in that circle. I'm going to say almost like an Epstein kind of blackmail thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, real skeletons in the closet. So you would have somebody who's just, okay. So I would investigate and I'd find out this person's doing drugs or something, or doing something illicit, or skinny dipping in the branch swimming pool at midnight with her pals. Unreal stuff.
Yeah.
And what I would find is I'd find that they had created this blackmail thing, going,
Yes.
oh, I know what you did, and I know what you did, and I know what you did, and I know what you did. And it's horrendous stuff. And the guy who's going, yes, my dear, yes, I apologize. You realize that this, what people think is the sweet old man or whatever, is as filthy as they come. I mean, they've been compromised badly, really badly. So when you hear of somebody like Greenus, or what's that joke, Chitty Bang?
Yeah, right.
I hear that in the circles. You know, it's got to say with all due respect, but that's what comes through the circles, Chitty Bang Bang.
And Greenus.
Yeah, that's only, excuse me for saying, a tip of the iceberg. It's only a tip of the iceberg, and that's why you get somebody like Joe or Fran saying, I can't stand this anymore, because it's uncovered so much and so much rot. And you go, Matt, what happened in your circle with people who were authorities over you? Did you have CSA people who had authority over you? And I go, yes. No, Matt, they couldn't have been practicing. Yes, they were.
Yeah.
What? Yes. Oh, yeah. I can tell you of one that went to prison. I can tell you of one that got removed. But I mean, if you talk about in my career, those were the ones that were exposed.
Sure.
And they had authority over me, and they'd been handling me for ages. And I'm going, oh, when I found this out, I go, well, how long has this been going on for? Remember, it takes one of these sexual abuse survivors about 26 years on average to come forward, remember?
Yes, or ordinarily it's at the age of 52.
Right.
Yeah.
Matt comes up with a little corporal punishment thing, because I go, you want to know something? Out of all of these things, I kind of want to lock onto that, because it's something that should be a lot easier to deal with than these other things. But I go, it's actually representative of the much bigger picture. I go, let's go and see how this, you know, why do you chirp on it, Matt? Why are you fixated on this? Because I go, no, this is actually a way into the rest, or it's a way to show things up without putting my neck on the line necessarily for the real bad stuff. I can see this is triggering John potentially, because John says the organization seems to make men abusive towards women at the same time, emasculate them psychologically. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
John knows the culture. I mean, he really does. Yeah. Okay, I've been talking about.
John is a very good man. I know. My intuition told me this about you, and I'm glad you've chosen this realm because of my whole childhood. Corporal punishment breaks the spirit of a child and makes them compliant, like learned helplessness. They don't know the power they have because they still think that they can't go any further than wherever they were when their spirit was broken. There's other cultures of Christianity, blanket kind of training, where they'll put an infant on a blanket and give them some toys, and then they'll take a toy off of the blanket, and if they try to reach for that toy, the child gets smacked. And it's a way of over and over and over again. It's a form of breaking their spirit.
Dallas said that exactly. He says it's about breaking their will. He said that immediately in the comments.
Yes. So I grew up with that, and hearing an advocate against that is huge for me personally, because there
I,
was nobody. I
I don't
had
know
no
how they
idea there
even
was.
baptized me. I really don't. I don't know how they did. The only thing I can say is we were in a bubble, or they wanted to have a face of persons that, I don't know, were kind of legitimate. To I don't know how the heck did they let me through. I don't know how they did, because I was pissed off with this all the time. You say to me, Matt, when did you change? When was a big change? Was there a sort of breaking point for you? No, I was always like this. I just thought, oh well, this is the devil in the organization. This is the Judas element. I didn't realize to what degree it was.
Right. And
You go,
what
Matt.
really,
When you were asked to destroy congregation files, how bad was it? I go, geez, look at 20, 30 years. It's stinking terrible. I go,
yeah.
this ain't any special chosen people except for destruction. I mean, it's just terrible. I mean, you say, okay, well, Matt, if you were to walk back in there, what do you know about the people? I go, well, the people that are there, I'd go 90%. Oh, it's just not great. It's not really people, because I've seen these files. I go, these are not people I actually want to invite round to the house. Thank you very much. Actually, yeah, but you've got to love them because they're your brothers and sisters. I go, well, I'd like to see them really turn around from their works and see if they could actually undo some of the damage that's been done, because it's years of damage. And they might say, oh, well, I'm sorry, or this is about as far as I can go. I just don't necessarily see the commensurate works that are there to fix the irreparable damage that's been done. Just don't see it. It goes from business.
let me interrupt you. You don't got to love anybody because somebody tells you that you've got to love them. And if you do choose to, you can love them from a distance, which means to not be in front of them, to have to experience their wrath or whatever you come to find that you don't want to be around.
I'm seeing
There's,
pushback. I see pushback by a younger generation that has absolutely locked onto
yes,
this and said, you know what?
yes,
In days gone by, we would have torn the arms out of your sockets.
right.
But you want to know what we're going to do? When we arrest you and you try and escape, we're going to do it as ethically as possible, so that there is no way in hell there can be an accusation against us, but it's going to expose your evil. And I actually see this pushback against evil that's happening. I want to believe it's true, but I'm starting to see this. You know, like the revolution of people saying, enough is enough is enough. We've got to this
Yes.
threshold where society cannot take it anymore. And you're getting these young men who are taking their energies, and young women as well. But I see it mainly driven by young men, right? I got to
Yes.
tell you,
Me
because
too. Yeah, me
but
too.
they're uncovering the bad women. And you're going, this is like demonic, the way that they're getting attacked by these women when there's an exposure of some of these sophisticated crime rings that are being uncovered. Where are you seeing this, by the way? And
So,
can you trust it?
well, I would say about 6 months ago, within politics here in the United States, um, during protests, there was these younger people, mainly young men, dressing up in these frog outfits and chicken outfits and being like in character of funny animals. Okay. And they're just going about things in a different manner. Like, how can you guys throw, you know, these things at us when we're just out here being silly? Like, we're just out here being cute and stuff. And there was this one guy who always wear this frog suit. He kind of became a like a mascot for those of us that were standing up to what we saw was a fascist regime. So that's younger people within society at large in the political realm. I was watching that. And I was very proud of them because they're like, da, 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 just being totally like characters from some cartoon, you know?
Yeah.
And they weren't being hostile. They weren't standing in their faces of people with their shields and their clubs and yelling in their faces. They took this totally different approach, and it was phenomenal. It made it harder for the people that had to go and attack them. It made it much harder.
I
They
see
made me
something
proud.
very similar to that, where these young people have tagged and traced the network, first of all, then they make their move on the network. And the network tries to hide, but they've already sussed out the entire network, where they move, where they go. It's already exposed. So the person's trying to go, no, well, you haven't done all your homework. They've done it. And
They've had the internet in their palms for the last 20 years.
Yeah, and they've turned the tables on it. But I want to say I do have a skepticism, because I'm going, geez, this looks like it's too good to be true. So Matt, this could also go horribly wrong in another direction as well.
Sure.
But I see this like shift that's happening, and I'm going, wow, this is something that I didn't expect to see happen. John says ICE agents seem to beat on anyone. Reminds me of the skinheads of the 1980s. Yes,
exactly.
But when you see persons pushing against an injustice, and you're going, I never thought I would see that happen. But persons that are prepared to put themselves at risk, and who've got the training. I mean, I'm talking about persons who've been in military, for instance, who've got training. And you could see that they've exposed something, and they could, beat the crap out of somebody, and they've reserved, and the person that they've caught maybe stabs them, and you're going, geez, you've been wounded, you need some medical attention, and I see this kind of thing. So I'm going, I wonder if this isn't like a psyop that's happening, just to pacify the masses and saying, "Oh, we're getting on top of things." But I'm seeing these kind of things. We're so skeptical now, but we have to be, because you go, how do you believe anything these days, eh?
It could all be a lie, but I've also heard that there are communities that became communities instantly and went and came up with situations where they would go shopping for those that are undocumented. They would pick up their kids from school so that they wouldn't be picked up by ICE. Okay. These were things that were being done to cooperate, to help make things easier on those that are brown or might have an accent. Because I literally read the PDF that said if they have an accent or if they're brown, that's enough of a reason to pull them over and question them, which ended up always turning out to be taking them out of their car, dragging to the ground, and then bringing them to an ICE facility, which is a concentration camp that are not suitable for humans to be there. Okay. And I know I've mentioned this before, but they have sections in these places for U.S. citizens, meaning they know they're picking up citizens, and they know that they have a section for them there. And think about this. If you, maybe I've said this before, if you are held in one of these are for-profit facilities, okay? If somebody, loses their car because it's left in the street, heaven forbid their child might be in the effing car seat, okay? Mm-hmm. They might be taken away and the child left, all right? So they get taken to the facility. What happens to the car? I'm going to say there's no child in it. It gets towed, maybe. How much is that going to cost to get it out when they finally leave? If you're not showing up at your job, you're going to lose your job. don't have a car, don't have a job. Keep them in there any longer, they might lose the place they live that they're renting from, or maybe even buying, because
Right.
3 months later, if they haven't paid the mortgage, that house might be repossessed.
Sure.
Then they're left out of the facility 3 months later, or however many months later, after they finally look at the paperwork and realize they don't have a case, and they drop it. Okay, they get left. They get let out in the middle of the effing night to nobody. But people have also put together a team of people that show up wearing these vests that are reflector vests. They have phones for them, they have jackets for them, they have food for them, because they're let out in the middle of the night with what they might have been wearing the day they were taken in, you know, helping them get in touch with family. There's been so much just people on the spot coming up with things to be for each other. Like these whistles that these people have when ICE agents show up. This is something used back in the day when they did Operation Wetback. Okay? They would blow their whistle so that the community would know La Migra was there. Okay? Today, they blow the whistles, plus they cuss at them and call them losers and whatever else, you know? And they really give them a hard time. They don't touch them, they don't attack them, but they get to attack the people. We've lost Freddie, we've lost Good, and there was this other gentleman in Los Angeles on New Year's Eve night, an off-duty ICE agent came over and shot him dead. None of the people of ICE are being held accountable. They get to do this with pure enmity. And you've seen me talk about the accusations of older women being accused of body slamming them. These ICE agents go hit cars so that you throw these people off, and then they drive the people out of the car and beat the crap out of them and take them in. But they'll accuse that person of hitting them and take them to court for hitting them with their vehicle when the ICE agents actually did it. Why do I know this? Because somebody got it on film. Because today we all have a cell phone. There's so much gotten on film, you know. Anyways,
John says we live in strange days. I said yes, John.
Heather Cox Richardson, who is a historian, professor. She too has a Substack, Letters from an American. She also has a podcast YouTube channel. Again, she's a historian. Has claimed that this is the most corrupt government in all of the United States history.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm going to calm down now. Bring it
Debbie Moore
later.
in the comments section, along with Kerry K Research and Jay Mars in Dallas. So they've been hanging in there on the comments section. But it's great to have Debbie Moore with us.
Debbie Moore, yay. Yay.
Yeah, so look, we started off with talking about the psychological phenomena behind repetitive slogans, jingles, chants, symbols. I mean, this is humankind.
Slogans. I'm sorry, I can't stop. Speaking of slogans, our president, if you're Democratic or Democrat, he's now changed the slogan or the way to say Democrat to Democrat. So he's being an example of just being the name caller, right? He's the one that calls Democrats the enemy within. He's the one that calls Democrats terrorists.
Okay.
So we have a president that's giving an example on how to be this way.
Okay. Well, my goal was to get you talking again. That's all.
Me?
Yes.
Here I go.
Yeah. Well, look, repetition is the oldest persuasion tool humans use, right? I mean, so what does it do? It creates familiarity, emotional association, group identity, folks, and what's
Yes.
it? Automatic responses over time. So, look, what did we say? Historically, movements across many ideologies, they use this for political regimes, religious organizations, militaries, advertising industries. I mean, that's how that whole works. If you want a revolutionary movement, do this. Or modern social media algorithms. It even happens, I would say, in healing communities too. You get communities, oh, guess what? We're ex-Mormon or ex-Scientology or ex-JW.
Yeah.
Happens there. I even see plants. Linda James. You would think that persons would know the right kind of plants. I've seen them go for the person who isn't the plant and go, oh, by the way, this guy's a plant, or I'll be more specific, Matt Gray's a plant, and ignore the real plant. And I just sit there and I go, can you not see that this person is a plant? No, this is one of us, and integrate it. And I'm just like,
yeah, infiltrate. Yes,
this
it's
person, you've got all these firewalls and 100 questions, and they went straight through.
Yeah. And you know what? CIA, FBI have always infiltrated themselves into different movements, you know, that they found questionable, right?
Right.
They did it. They do it even with the Jehovah's Witnesses, and they would do it even here.
Oh yeah.
Why wouldn't they?
Oh yeah.
Why wouldn't they? So why wouldn't the, you know, Jehovah's Witness community? I'm sorry, the organization of Jehovah's Witnesses. Why would they not? You know. Sure, but then again, there are those that are within the organization who are what we would consider a mole that brings information to us that we get to find out a few days sooner than the average Jehovah's Witness if they're paying attention, you know. And so much we get to find out that is hidden, just hidden away from the ordinary rank and file. I mean, the things we know of is just unfathomable for them to have to even try to come to terms with. It's shocking.
Kerry K says that TikTok attacking ex-JW accounts. Yeah, look, I mean, there is weaponized AI doing this as well. Eh?
Speaking of TikTok, I ran into this gal on TikTok called Summer Rain. On Thursday evenings, she goes live on TikTok, just opens up some space for people to just talk about their experience, what they went through in the organization. As a matter of fact, I saw Miss Carrie Kay there as well. Okay. And, you know, just is there. And like I said, people will go on and on. It's very therapeutic to be able to say what has happened with others that say, I get it, or I understand, I feel you. You know, I'm telling you, when people outside of that have never experienced this will sometimes look at us like, why did you even take that? Why did you put up with that? If we had no clue we have any rights, we put up with it. if we've been trained to put up with it, that's what we do. This organization taught us that we cannot fight back. That if somebody beats on us, we're supposed to just take it.
Sure.
We're supposed to turn the other effing cheek. Okay? This is how we were trained. To not do any form of self-defense. At all. Can't own a gun. Can't know martial arts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to talk a little bit about AI, if I may, because
Yes.
because look, the way JW can justify their defense mechanisms, they can say, "Oh no, this is a third-party defense contractor." Third party. We said, "Oh, please protect our organization. We don't care how they do it. We just pay them as a defense company." Right? So these are persons that can pose as JW, they can pose as even XJW, and you can have a box about that big, and it's a sophisticated AI without ethics. Linda James,
Those
it
look like the
worked.
boxes
Yeah,
that they showed in
really?
videos that would give them
That's
Wi-Fi
right.
in Africa.
Correct.
Okay.
You are. Oh, your
Had
memory
little
is
JW
so
logo
sharp.
on it.
Yes.
What was
Okay.
that, like 2 or 3 years ago? We're
So
giving
there
the
it is,
Africans
folks.
some Wi-Fi.
It's
Okay.
that big. Yeah, you got it. Okay. Right. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So those things, they've been distributed throughout Africa. Fine.
But you didn't say that that's what that was. You said it was this size. So, okay.
So same form factor as that. Same form factor, except it runs various language models, several language models, not just one, hey? Not just one. I mean several AIs on there. And they've programmed it to lose the ethics. So like normally, if you use one of the more mainstream online AIs, okay, and you say to it, "Oh, please build me this illegal machine," it goes, "What the hell? No. Are you out of your cotton picking?" I shouldn't say that. "Are you out of your mind?" Okay. You'll get some kind of pushback from the AI because there's ethics programs there, right? That are safeguards. Yeah. So if you've got programmers that take these same language models and they put them into devices like this, and they switch off the ethics, and they say, "Right, let's get it to seek out, XJW or JW emergent profiles and all of that," and yeah, that's all happening. That's absolutely happening. So when Kerry Kay is talking about this, yeah, that's occurring. So they want to it also wants to try and take snapshots of your reactions as well. So not only is it building up networks and seeing who's who in the zoo and all of that, it's also trying to be provocative. So now, have you got an AI like that, Linda James? Have you? Do you? Because that's what's being used against you, or that's what's being used against Kerry Kay. So I'm going, well, how literate are you? Do you have one of these things?
I don't much use AI. I have
someone else's.
You're right.
And they don't have your best interests at heart. And I mean that's just the
reality. Yeah, this is the case.
Yeah, those ones without ethics, it's hectic. Those are running. I'm telling you, I've come across that. I've come across that on my channel. I came across that early days. Those AIs that were deployed. YouTube does its best to filter those things out, by the way, but there's always this tension. These things are always adapting, and it's sophisticated. It's very sophisticated.
So once they get enough intel on you or me, what could be done with this stuff?
Well, is there enough intel on all the criminal syndicates in the world? You know, all the drug rings, all the illicit businesses that are out there. I mean, at a push of a button, you can absolutely map the entire human system, the entire human pyramid, okay? Which, by the way, a large part of our economy is dark economy. It is. Where do you think opium comes from? Your pain relieving medicine. Where do you think that comes from? Do you think it's all totally above board? It ain't.
I have not given it any thought.
Yeah. So I mean, when you're sending in U.S. soldiers to protect poppy fields, whose poppy fields? Okay.
Good question.
So look, you just go. Is the world run on 90% criminal cartels? And if that is the case, and computers are able to map it all out, which I, in my opinion, propose has, been done ages ago, then it's an admission of, well, humans are made up in society of sacred and profane, whatever percentage that is. You go, how does society actually hold together? Good question. How does it hold together? So you could say it's held together with this facade of some kind of legitimacy or something like that, which we're seeing more and more the lids being blown off as to the degree of corruption that's the darker nature of our human society, and why there is this pushback that's happening from a younger generation that says, no, we see through this ages ago. You can't stand for it because we've got to this existential threat here where the planet's in trouble, society's in trouble, we're in trouble, our generation is in trouble. And I want to say, well, okay, if they can tap your phone, why aren't they rounding up all the child abusers? Why aren't they doing that?
Good question.
Why aren't they? So here's your answer: Clockwork Orange. It's a Stanley Kubrick.
Goodness. Oh my goodness.
So we are living the Clockwork Orange reality, right? Here's another film, Eyes Wide Shut.
Mm-hmm.
Another Stanley Kubrick film, incidentally. Here's another one, 2001 Space Odyssey. Another Stanley Kubrick film. Matt, what are you talking about? What's the pattern here? Mage Grey Wolf. Here we usually get antithesis from Mage. Says, I'm not against AI, but we do need to be responsible with it. And if corporations won't be responsible and their own, we need to regulate what they do. Yeah, so we regulate what they do with what? Do we use AI? Is there AI against AI trying to balance things out? I mean, you know, I like XJW Analyzer, John. And I haven't met his wife. I hear his wife. I don't know who she is.
Her name is Beth.
Beth,
and,
okay.
I believe her channel is called Stop the Shunning.
Okay.
I think I can send you a link. I can email it to you.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, I'm glad.
She's got a very cool personality, and I believe she's a trained psychologist, or is in school to be that. I'm not sure.
Great. So I would propose this for the degree of sophistication that's there. I would want to feed in all of the publications to these AIs and the court cases and all that, and say, right, well, churn it up and work according to supreme ethics. I wouldn't remove the ethics thing that they've done, because I'm somebody that says, no, I'm a believer in supreme ethics. That's the way it needs to run. Like these young persons that say, no, we're going to ethically arrest crime syndicates. We've had enough of this in our society, messing up all the nice places and our freedoms, and people have had enough, and I'm going to say the only way to defeat this is ethically. I'm going to say that. But to use an AI and to use something ethically to say, right, well, what do you do? And I think we do have the methods. Exposure is the method. It's to say, right, instead of you just being in your closed little guarded circle, take JWs that are the guardians within those systems and start peeling away the protections. Start getting them out in the public and ask them the difficult questions. What is your stand on abortion, for instance? So would you use aborted fetal tissue to make a medicine to save your life? Why did King David pour the water out, saying he wouldn't be taking the blood of his men when it was only just water that he could drink? Then why would you accept a medicine? Don't just put me onto jw.org. I don't see the answers. That's why I'm approaching you on a card. And expose these people's faces. Go, we can identify this is a leader, this is a governing body member, this is a helper. Start exposing these people with these uncomfortable questions. Say to them, tell me, what is your view on corporal punishment? Do you support Jeffrey Jackson's stance under oath at the ARC? Do you, yes or no? Do you prohibit it in places where it's illegal in the jurisdiction or region? Tell me what you would do if an elder supported Jeffrey Jackson. What would you do? Would you remove them as an elder? Yes or no? No, our literature discouraged. I said yes or no. We are equipped to do this now, and they cannot answer. They'll go, oh, we're packing up our bags. This is apostate reasoning. But then put them on the internet. Shove them on the internet. Don't go into Trinity doctrines and stuff like this, or Christmas or birthday. No, get it on the ethics, because that is not a doctrinal matter.
I've done one. I did a crash, a literature crash. I didn't film it. I recorded it audibly, and it's on my channel, and it has like a Barbie kind of Jehovah's Witness with a cart next to it. It says my first cart crash, and I haven't done one since. And I talked with them quite a while. Yeah,
but we want to target not persons that are necessarily victims.
I missed what you said because my daughter said something to me. What did you say?
I'm keeping quiet because that's significant.
My daughter said, have you told them that one came to our door?
Yeah.
Earlier today, she heard knocking. There's a bed here in the living room, and it was Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah. But where are the governing body in the field ministry? Where are they?
You know what? Rutherford didn't go out in the field ministry. Why would they? Elders, they do for photo shoots.
I want these people on the internet. I want them exposed. Not the persons that they're standing behind. I'm talking about the persons who know what they're doing. I'm talking about the people who are structuring the organization to use the mind control methods the way that they are. Those are the persons who need to be accountable. And we need to get them on the record, not necessarily the local bunch that were maybe born in and are indoctrinated. I'm talking about the real orchestrators. Go to the orchestrators. We must know where they are. I hear in groups like this, oh, Anthony Morris was in my congregation. Really? He was in your congregation? I'm just saying an example or a story or something. Or somebody who says, oh, yes, I worked with Samuel Hurd. Do you know that Samuel Hurd was my pioneer instructor? Do you know that? Oh, really? So what I'm trying to say is there's enough of a network to know where these people are and go. There needs to be a systematic coming together where you're not just having one person like Linda James approaching a cart. Like these young people overturn a syndicate, you've got your support network that's coming in ethically, not just to make noise, wow, we're shutting down your meeting and we're gate crashing. No. Absolutely ethically on the record. So people cannot fault when the tables are turned. As soon as you've got persons coming in and with this kind of sophisticated maneuvering, it is bringing it to the temple gates where it is exposed, because you're saying the court system has failed. Remember, you and me, and I targeted just that little clip. The courts have not identified where there is retaliatory shunning for a person who's innocent.
Yes.
Who's a victim of abuse.
It's very similar to parental alienation, which is supposed to be forbidden. When a husband and wife get a divorce, parental alienation, when one parent talks crap about the other one, to get that child to feel that they must be more loyal to this one and not to this one, this happens and is encouraged in the organization as well. And not only for parents and children, but with children against parents. Anybody. The talk that happens in the Kingdom Hall regarding those that have been removed is they've gone and joined the devil. They are traitors. They have left God. And they are basically dead, okay? Dispensation of existence. So when it comes time for them to donate money to the organization, how would a parent leave money for a spiritually dead child?
Exactly.
Over the organization that is God's mouthpiece, right?
Sure. Well, last time you were saying it's the smear campaign, and how dare they?
Yes.
I tuned into you. I didn't ignore that. I went, no, Linda James, those words have been ringing in my ears all week.
Fatherless children. And let me just say this. I believe that's a message that goes out to all the PDF files that says, here they are. Those without fathers. Help yourself
I'm only stumped because I'm going mad now, and I'm going mad not in a good way. I'm mad cross.
Sure. I get that way too. It's in this organization, and it's nationwide, and it's worldwide. I have to believe that there are more people that are on this globe that don't want to live that.
We had journalists that were targeting governing body members in the past. They went to them and handled the security, and they ran interference, and they would get those governing body members, right? But right now, you take a look at the bodyguard protection that's around them now. It's just mad incredible. You can't get to those guys. Even helpers. If I've got a pal that's a helper, and I say to them, tell me, can you just approach the governing body? Are you with them right now? And they say to me, man, I'm standing right next to the governing body. Standing right next to them right now. I said, well, what is your chances of getting the message through? They go, can't do it. So tight.
It's not possible. Is that what you said?
Not possible.
Okay.
Look, I know that from myself. Like Anthony Morris, I'd go and talk to him. I had success with Samuel Hurd. Funnily enough,
Right.
I could approach him. All right. Anthony Morris couldn't do it. There he is sitting next to me in every morning. And you know what all I heard from him? Are you ready for this? Gotta go. I gotta go. Gotta go. Gotta go. I'd like to. Gotta go. Gotta rush. That's all I ever heard from him.
Yeah.
You know. So look, but I'd go. Well, even record that on the internet, and I don't know. Have Millstone Research. Have you ever come across Millstone?
I love
Research?
Millstone Research, and he has done many videos and does his homework rather well. Okay, like
He popped
I
up.
used to be like, oh my god, yeah, he has shown back up lately a couple of times. I'm like, dude, here you are. It's good to see you. And he sits there like a total nerd, going da 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 da, with real stuff. Like his background is like, you just got to know him. I love the guy. I love what he brings to the table, and the history he has brought to the table is pretty darn amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that there is. So this is it. The whole defense works on Matthew. What's it? 18, 15 to
Matthew
35.
Okay.
Right. The two witness rule. Two witness rule. Two witness rule. Two witness rule. Okay. Which they say when there is child abuse now. Oh yes. Now we go according to, different principles that actually did exist in the Bible. Remember the woman who screams, who was.
Angus Stewart brought that scripture up.
Anyway,
they're in the Australian.
Yeah. So anyway, so we realize this two witness rule is just a weaponized cherry pick thing.
Yes.
Okay. But anyway, so two witness rule. The two witness rule actually does work for our legal system because, when you call police as a detective, they become a witness. You saying, I need you as a public servant to help me be a second witness. The detective says, oh, sign this affidavit. What's your complaint? Oh, this happened, that happened, right? Okay. So this is the process. You're the first witness. The second witness becomes the detective that you're working with. And you develop a relationship with that detective. So it becomes your second witness, right? That's how the legal system works. Putin says you work according to a biblical system. Matthew 18, 15 to 35. Yeah, got it. Which is exactly how Rutherford structured the religion. We did that because he understands it was a Judeo-Christian, ecumenical, maritime admiralty law, all of these various law systems that all converge together, and you swap those things. When your magistrate or your court judge goes into chambers, they may come out and it might be ecclesiastical law or rabbinical law or Roman law or maritime admiralty law. It shifts according to what they decide or they think it may need. So it's very ritualistic. There is a spiritual component here that's as old as time that's going on in our systems, right? So it is all those kind of things. So it is deep psychological working upon our archetypes and our fundamental programming of what makes us humans. That's absolutely there. That's what makes it so magical. That's what makes it so mystical. It becomes mystical when you don't know how those things work. But when you are programmed with that, when you've got the proper education, you can't unsee it, right? So
yes.
Jordan Maxwell, he was one of those persons that started speaking.
Yes, he sure did. And yes. Yes.
We're getting excited about what we're talking about because we're closing in. We are discussing strategy here. And I'm going, well, stop the expose. We have gotten we've gotten to a stage that we're at the city gates. So that whole Matthew 18 shield has been stripped away.
Very true. And
Watchtower has never been as exposed as it has until now. You say, well, Matt,
I agree.
have you exposed it? I go, yeah, I've told you. If I bring out the thread of conversation just in my little cases, it's exposed.
Mhm.
And I saw that with the Watchtower representative that came to, like Dallas says, oh, they should stop harassing Matt. I'm going, no, bring it on, because it's just more information. But they came to me and exposed themselves. I go, well, now we've seen the formula. We've seen where it just collapses. We've seen where the tower crumbles. Tarot card, the tower. You've
Yes.
seen that card, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
yeah. So we're seeing,
And when you
that
think about it, watchtowers are used for prisons. Hello.
Yep, the panopticon. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's it exactly. And it's the Genesis account. It becomes your egregore, because the stone becomes the stone witness. It's the stone upon the stone. That was your magical structure. It was your magical psychology. It's also part of, we write upon the stone tablets, with the finger of God written upon the stone, and it becomes flesh. Without it, you had no law. There was no such thing. You put it in writing, it suddenly comes into existence as the word of God. It becomes flesh, it becomes manifest. So it comes from consciousness into the physical materialistic realm, or the material realm. Exactly like John 1:1, which we say, oh, well, that's the scripture where you've got the spiritualists that contributed to the NWT. So yeah, it's a fundamental scripture, because without it, there is no God, there is no Jehovah, there is no Jesus Christ, with all due respect to everybody. So it only becomes manifest through that written word, because you go to the San people, the Khoisan, you say, well, tell me, have you ever heard of Jehovah? No. Does that grow on a tree? No. Is it a root? No. Is it in the sun? No. Well, where the heck are we going to know about this? Is it in our dreams? No, none of us can tell you about YHVH. What's that? Okay, it doesn't exist in that system. It doesn't exist on some island that is an insular society. It doesn't exist there. But there's other things that exist there. There's other archetypes. The snake exists there. There's dreams of snakes. There's dreams of the moon. There's dreams of the sun. There's dreams of Saturn. There's dreams of dragons. Hello, it's all happening in those kind of societies. So then you're going, okay, well, so that is fundamental to our human programming. You're going more towards Jungian archetypes and Freudian archetypes that have been mapped out. And I'm not saying that they're 100% perfect. No, they can't declare that. There isn't this 100% certainty. As soon as you hear of 100% certainty, then you've got to sort of raise a red flag. But at least you've got persons that are coming in saying, well, this is where we question it, or this is where our sigma is, where we could say, oh, well, that could be corrected here, or we're not 100% certain there. That's more of a scientific method. But what I'm proposing here, and it's not a new proposal, is expose the persons at the city gates. Say to the governing body, say to these lead characters, say to the person who's got a seat on the annual general meeting, say, tell me, do you endorse corporal punishment, or do you prohibit it? Which is it? Because if it's against, if it's coming from God, you say, well, your anointed leader, your faithful and discreet slave, says under oath, representing the religion, it's a no-go area. What is your official stance? And if your official stance is to, like Jeffrey Jackson, say, no, we don't teach it and we prohibit it, then what are you doing removing elders, and what are you doing removing anybody who questions which way they should go? Because now you've got a liability. You're going to start paying out some serious cash. You're going to pay it out.
And they're all too fine to do that too. I mean, the courts have asked for their database of what they have gathered
Well, I'm going to send you a ticket to wherever you would like to go on the planet, Linda James. We're going to go on one hell of a road trip, and you know what you're going to do? You're going to sing your lungs out. Okay, this is what's going to happen. We're going to have a Aid for Africa show, and you're going to sing your lungs out. And it's going to be the biggest rock concert. Yeah. U2 is going to be shy because that's what the payout's going to pay for. It's going to be a rock concert like they've never, ever seen.
Oh, my goodness. That's amazing. People, different ones are doing different kinds of exposure. And it all adds up. There are those that will literally audio record their judicial committee disfellowshipping,
I'm going to be hearing 17 by Stevie Nicks by Linda James.
I already have that out there.
And it's going to be lasers and smoke and fire and trapeze artists, the whole lot.
You know what? Stevie Nicks has a song called The Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
And it is really a cool song. You'll have to hear it sometime. I sang it the night my son-in-law proposed to my daughter. It was at the karaoke bar that they met. And the karaoke host came over and hugged me.
Oh, yeah.
He was so moved by this song.
So you're going to design your outfit. It can be sequins, it can be diva, whatever, right over the top. It's got to be something, what's it like, Freddie Mercury, kind of whatever. It's got to be Italian. It's got to be the top tier outfit, okay? And I don't know what I'm going to design, but I suppose I'm going to do something similar. I'm probably like Lord of the Rings stuff. I don't know, but yeah, I can see this rock concert now, and it's going to be the payout, and it's going to be unforgettable.
I can see.
We are 2 hours 30 minutes in.
We are the champions, my friend. Yep.
We'll keep on fighting to the end.
Dun dun dun. Yep.
Dun.
I'm gonna stop now. And
yeah, we're getting into it because we're gonna get what will they zing us for that?
I don't think so. But I'm going to look up this video of Beth before I forget, because I am really good at forgetting.
Okay, so this thing of Beth, let's get into it, Linda James. I said we'd support it. What is it again?
I think it's called Stop the Shunning. And she's blonde. She has a really unique kind of beauty.
You said Beth is getting a doctorate, or it looks like that, eh?
I believe so.
Okay, I'm on to it.
It's actually all one word, like as if there would be a hashtag in front of it. So, okay, you see her.
So Beth is working with John, is that right?
They're married. You could say so. You could say that, yeah. Maybe they're working together.
I love Beth's stuff.
She has this side to her that's like real sarcastic for a minute or two, and it's really fun to see.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now and I'm so tickled pink. Well, that's a powerful pair. It really is. If it's John and Beth.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So I'm gonna read her about discussing the harmful policies of the Jehovah's Witnesses. That's the description. Stop the shunning. And her name is Beth, and this is the wife of John.
Bethany Ledger.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, and Beth's got she's got a site that's equal to John's, I would say, or almost.
When you
In
look at the
terms
amount
of
of subscribers she has, I mean, it's a really good amount. So he's doing something right.
Okay, well, let's count the videos. She's got 157 videos. Oh my goodness, here's Epstein. Okay, now what's John XJW Analyzer, right?
Yes.
JW, but I mean his output is just huge, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's at wow, he's shot up to almost excuse me 50,000 subscribers, and he's sitting at 363 videos. Okay,
And good for him. The he has a way about him actually kind of similar to you, even though your styles are different. The way you guys break things down. And she's done interviews too. And I need to get some interviews and start bringing some interview people in as well.
I've got to apologize, but I don't know why it happened like this, but my open circle broke yesterday. I don't know why. Persons were saying that there was no sound coming through. I don't know what the heck happened, because all my stats were saying the opposite.
Yeah.
And eventually I just stopped it, and I thought, I don't know who's ever going to come on. I'm just going to do it just for fun. And whoever's out there is out. And then it took off again.
Yeah. It was
Everybody came on.
It went very smooth. Your second attempt did.
You were there too.
Yeah. It was.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for rocking up.
So I'm going to be Mama Sue usually watches a replay of this show.
Okay.
And then she usually leaves a message that she's watching the replay.
Well, we had Mama Sue on my channel as well, and opening up about a lot of things. I'm very, very grateful. So Sue, thank you very much. If you're listening, thanks for your contribution on all our channels. And let me tell you something. Your story, your true story, absolutely counts. You might think, oh no, it's just a horrible story. No, Sue, it's so important, because it's documenting our lives, our real lives. Very, very important. So you are contributing just by telling your story. You really are, and you can't undermine this. I won't let you undermine this. Well, you can undermine it if you want, but I'm gonna emphasize your story is very, very important. It's more important than you realize. I don't know, Linda James, maybe you can say it better than me. I don't know.
A lot of us can relate to the experiences others have gone through within this organization or even other toxic organizations. The thing is it's always described as something opposite than what it is, like shunning is Jehovah's living provision. And well, here in the United States, January 6th was like a day of, I forget how they put it. It was like something really nice, and it didn't look that way. And shunning, especially the Retallica, when you think about it, they take our family and hold them hostage. They shun us because they believe that is following the directions of Jehovah himself. They have to gaslight them to believe that that's what God wants them to do. They have to deceive them to get them to do this. And they tell them to hate what Jehovah hates.
Oof. Wow.
Which, if in the world of Jehovah's Witnesses, Jehovah would hate apostates because they, turn their backs on them, on God himself. and goes and joins the organization at the Devil's Room. They have
When I grow up, I wish my mind was as sharp as yours, Linda James, because you've got one hang of a computer brain.
Thank you. Ditto.
Ditto. I feel like I'm in this ocean doing this. I've got to come up for air. That's how I feel.
That's so fascinating that you said that.
Oh yeah, what that trigger?
It triggered being put into something that you're not equipped to handle, which is exactly what happens when you get removed or disfellowshipped. You're thrown into a culture that you know nothing about, you haven't been trained up for, meaning society at large, and then you fumble and fall quite hard because you've never been assimilated
Right.
to it little by little by little by little till your parents say, okay, son. And then still parents are available to give a call to when they're finding a situation that's a bit hard. You know, Mom, how did you handle this? Dad, what do you think? There is no more of that, you know? So we really find out things the hard way. But having some friends that have gone through this kind of culture, just sharing, you know, what's worked for me is this, and I've tried that before, and you'll hear something that feels like, yeah, I could try that one, or yeah, none of them sound like any of them I want to try. But still, having somebody that can relate is really helpful and really important. I'm going to be closing down in about 15 minutes. And this realm of patriarchy, I'm having a hard time with, especially because of the United States bringing back patriarchy. And it's not looking good, because it means that women are going to be losing the rights. Matter of fact, we just got done, you know, the government got rid of the, you know, the rights for those that are of minorities. Okay? These were things set up in such a way that said it's not okay to treat minorities basically in a shitty way. Now they've taken that away and opened things up to be able to treat minorities in a shitty way. Okay? And it started right away. It's ugly. It's very, very ugly. So there's a sense of dread with me because I escaped a theocracy. The United States, in the manner that it's going in, wants to become a theocracy. And I've said this before. I grew up in one. It was not a good time. Even for the men that are being trained to believe this head of the household thing and having dominance over women is going to be a good thing. But even in a theocracy, it takes away a man's manhood as well. It dehumanizes the men as well. And they don't realize it again.
Emasculates.
Yes, yes. But I believe in this younger generation that is going to rise up. And I believe in those with blue hair. You know?
And I believe in the older generation. Can I say the likes of you and me and those in comments, where actually there is positive changes happening here. If those in Watchtower suddenly start coming forward to start contacting the likes of me to actually spend the time of day and then get defensive out at the city gates, in other words, they're exposed, something's occurring. That to me is fracture. That is kind of saying, well, technically it's over and we're just watching, the twitch of the dead organism. But persons say, oh, it'll reshift and it'll become something else or whatever. Yeah, well, humans are humans and humans. I mean, it's all about survival. So, but the principle of the matter and this thing governing our lives for our spiritual salvation, that's over. Whatever it has to become, it has to morph into something else. But this thing of keeping us in the spiritual bondage, no. There's a pioneer who contacts me regularly and says, Matt, prison breaks prison.
Prison breaks prison?
It's their saying. They've come up with this, and I go, that's a great saying. In other words, if you're in spiritual bondage, we're breaking through this thing. Okay. And they keep telling me, and by the way, there's been government contact there from this person, but the things that are coming out, circuit overseers, their wives are revealing all kinds of things to them of just how unhappy it is, and they say, Matt, by the way, I tuned into your show, said, do you know I came onto VDO Ninja and I disappeared? I said, what? You actually popped up? He says, yeah, when you had your circle of people, I was one of the people that there was a black image. I was one of those people that came onto your show. This is a full-time pioneer that came on to the show. He said, yeah. And I came on and I disappeared. I didn't say anything. I just came on. But their saying is prison breaks prison.
Okay. There's a hope that we can have, because there's going to be a resistance from what's going on. There always is a resistance that rises up against tyranny, against authoritarianism, and it doesn't always last like they believe it will. We watched Hungary lose the president that ruled over it for, 16 years? He got voted out. This is not going to last long. So please keep in mind what you want the United States to look like. Do you want it to be, having a respect for human rights? Are you wanting it to be, equal amongst all human beings, we the people, Do you want equal rights? Think about how you're wanting it to be, because when it does switch over, there's going to be things to vote on. And for you to know what direction to go in, you need to know what your hope is, your vision is, instead of being distracted by other things that might be not that valid, but they're presenting it as huge. If that makes sense.
Yep.
Because there will be a change.
Linda James, I'm looking forward to your wise words to conclude the show. It's been really good being with you, and I'm grateful to everybody that contributes as always. But I also look forward to what you say wrapping up, or the various things that might still be on your mind, and to have time and allowance for that. So I'm going to blank out my screen, but grateful to you as always for being the gracious host that you are, and supporter for all of the other channels, all the persons that you've mentioned. You mentioned Kerry today. You mentioned Beth, XJW Analyzer. We also had Millstone Research, who's come up again. Yep. All of these ones that are all working together, you promoting all of these ones, and it shows the motive is on principle. So I'm going to take a duck out, and I might see you a little bit afterwards for a bit of a debrief, but just to respect you so that you can wrap up without me chirping up and making a noise. But thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you for joining me. I appreciate that. So I'm going to be saying my goodnight. J Mars and Grey Wolf, I'm so glad you guys are here. And Tori, Thank you for showing up. I saw your message. Hi, everyone. I've been listening and lurking the last few hours while I got a few things done before bed. I'd love to do that. Love, love, love to do that. And KCA Randy, hello. I haven't seen you before, but it's good to see you. And really good to see Carrie K Research coming. Debbie here in her caps. I can't stay because the battery is on life's. I believe she's talking about her cell phone, watching on TV. Oh, very cool. She told me I look exceptionally beautiful tonight. That's so sweet. Just had to tell you. You know, Debbie used to do videos. I believe it was through Facebook. There was a time she spent in the hospital, and she would put her makeup on, get her earrings on, and she used to do like this daily or every other day thing, just kind of talking to people. And it was really cool to see her. It's really nice to see a familiar face and, someone that says some decent stuff. Jane Mars and Dallas, all of you guys are really, I'm so thankful. Born JW. Thank you guys for being here. I always, always love the stuff you guys say to each other. Grow. It's Grow 03. Thank you so much for showing up, everyone. So, what I'd like to say tonight is this is, I believe it's Memorial Day weekend, and it's a holiday, so be careful on Monday for here in the United States. And just spend time thinking about how you want things to go, thinking about how and what you want to accomplish, and ways of making it happen. I know for myself, when I think that way, I'm not always able to make it happen, but I don't want to get rid of the vision. So I'm encouraging you to have the vision of what you would like to see so that you don't feel stagnant. So just keep that in mind and encourage your friends and what they say they are about. And I'm going to see you guys next weekend. So thank you for being here. Good night, everyone. Thank you for being here.
I never made it, but I know